The Southern Triangle represented the capitalist bloc and included South Korea, Japan, and the ultimate objectives were twofold. Firstly, to deter these countries from aligning with the rival bloc, and secondly, to ensure. Let us examine the Russia-North Korea side of the Northern Triangle. North Korea has openly supported Russia's stance on the recent geopolitical events have rekindled the importance of the Northern Triangle. The Russia-Ukraine conflict and the US. Kim Jong-un has observed that the decision to relinquish nuclear weapons in the past did not yield positive outcomes for Ukraine. Following the Second World War, a significant period of geopolitical tension emerged between the United States and the Soviet Union. This era is commonly referred to as the Cold War. Cold, because these opposing superpowers refrained from direct military confrontation, and war, because they engaged in indirect conflicts. They opposed each other in various regional disputes such as the Korean War and the Vietnam War, which were essentially proxy wars. These conflicts were proxy in nature because other nations became pawns in the larger chess game between the two dominant powers of that time. Both superpowers extended military and economic assistance to countries in Africa, Asia, and Latin America, helping them coordinate their foreign policies. This was done to gain influence on the global stage. The ultimate objectives were twofold. Firstly, to deter these countries from aligning with the rival bloc, and secondly, to ensure their unwavering allegiance to their respective blocs. The geopolitical landscape of that era was characterized by a competition for global influence and strategic advantage. During this period, two major triangles of countries converged to form alliances based on shared ideology. The Northern Triangle constituted the Communist bloc, consisting of North Korea, China, and the Soviet Union. The Southern Triangle represented the capitalist bloc and included South Korea, Japan, and the United States. The Northern Triangle was led by the Soviet Union, while the Southern Triangle was led by the United States. Fast forward to the late 20th century. The end of the Cold War led to the collapse of the Soviet Union, resulting in a decline in the significance of the Northern Triangle. However, recent geopolitical events have rekindled the importance of the Northern Triangle. The Russia-Ukraine conflict and the US-China rivalry have been crucial drivers of the Northern Triangle's revival. These events have prompted North Korea, Russia, and China to reassess their positions and seek greater cooperation and alignment to respond to the shifting geopolitical landscape. In response to extensive sanctions, threats, and ongoing geopolitics, North Korea is strategically aligning with Russia and China to confront the US. By teaming up with Russia and China, North Korea aims to create a united front that can push back against the policies of the United States. The American efforts to enhance ties with its Southern Triangle partners, South Korea and Japan, have not gone unnoticed by the Northern Triangle countries, China, North Korea, and the Soviet successor Russia. In response, they have increased cooperation with the common goal of reducing US influence in the region and establishing a multipolar international system. Let us examine the Russia-North Korea side of the Northern Triangle. North Korea has openly supported Russia's stance on the Ukraine crisis and criticized the US for not taking Russia's security concerns seriously. North Korea has officially recognized the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic in eastern Ukraine as independent states, setting it apart from the majority of other countries. Only North Korea and Syria acknowledge the Russian annexations in the region. North Korea's overt support for Russia's position on the Ukraine crisis highlights a clear alignment of interests and a shared perspective on global politics. This also signifies its willingness to endorse Russia's actions in the region. Further, there have been allegations of North Korea supplying weapons to Russia while continuing to develop its ballistic missile and nuclear weapon capabilities. Kim Jong-un has expressed a commitment to strengthening ties with Vladimir Putin, symbolizing the deepening relationship and increasing cooperation between the two nations. Meanwhile, North Korea's hostility towards the US has been escalating, leading to significant strain in bilateral relations. multiple missile tests, and the rejection of denuclearization attempts have contributed to this mounting tension. North Korea vehemently accuses the US of deliberately fomenting conflicts and strongly denounces America's imperialistic actions. It asserts that its advancements in nuclear weapons and missile programs serve as a deterrent against potential US attacks. North Korea's resumption of missile tests can be interpreted as a means of regional defense and a display of force aimed at the US and its allies. Turning to the China-North Korea side of the Northern Triangle, China's assertive actions in the South China Sea, the Taiwan Strait, and its rivalry with the US have cultivated a strategic environment that nurtures a flourishing relationship with North Korea. The symbiotic nature of the China-North Korea relationship becomes evident through trade, as China stands as North Korea's largest and most significant trading partner. China contributes significantly to the economic growth and stability of the Kim regime. Amid the pandemic, North Korea eased its restrictions and resumed train operations to receive humanitarian aid from China. North Korea has also expressed criticism towards the United States for its efforts to isolate China within the Asia-Pacific region. Amidst these multifaceted dynamics, the China-North Korea relationship continues to evolve and shape the geopolitical landscape of the Northern Triangle. As China's influence grows and its strategic priorities shift, North Korea's positioning within this alliance becomes increasingly significant, adding further complexity to the global balance of power. North Korea's efforts to strengthen its relations with China and Russia do not occur in isolation, as both Russia and China are recognized for their supportive stance toward the North Korean regime. Both China and Russia have consistently advocated for the lifting of international sanctions on North Korea for humanitarian reasons and have actively promoted diplomatic negotiations. Last year, both countries exercised their veto power in the United Nations to prevent additional sanctions on North Korea following its missile tests. This shared alignment provides North Korea with a certain degree of leeway in conducting missile tests more frequently. This has allowed North Korea to develop its missile capabilities with fewer repercussions. Further, Kim Jong-un has observed that the decision to relinquish nuclear weapons in the past did not yield positive outcomes for Ukraine. This has emphasized the pivotal role of possessing nuclear capabilities as a means of ensuring the regime's security and safeguarding the country's sovereignty. Amidst the intricate geopolitical landscape, the North Korean regime perceives the strained relationships among China, Russia, and the US as a unique opportunity to secure significant advantages. By cultivating strong diplomatic ties with China and Russia, North Korea creates a protective barrier that potentially shields it from punitive measures and interventions by the United States. In geopolitics, assistance and cooperation are driven by strategic interests. China and Russia benefit from North Korea's nuclear weapon development. But how? Why do China and Russia find value in North Korea's missile testing? This is because North Korea's missile testing provides valuable data for evaluating the effectiveness of US and South Korean missile defense systems. This data holds paramount importance for both China and Russia as they seek to bolster and refine their own missile capabilities, with the aim of outmatching and surpassing the defensive systems deployed by the United States. Going back in time, the six-party talks initiated in 2003 involving the Northern Triangle and Southern Triangle countries aimed at dismantling North Korea's nuclear program. However, North Korea's withdrawal from these negotiations in 2009 altered the trajectory of diplomatic efforts. China played a pivotal role in hosting and chairing the talks and has since expressed its interest in resuming the dialogue. Although officially opposing North Korea's nuclear weapons program, China and Russia view the regime's survival as strategically important because it acts as a buffer state against US influence in the region. The presence of North Korea's weapons of mass destruction serves as a credible deterrent against potential US military actions, and both China and Russia appear willing to accept the associated costs to sustain this intricate strategic balance. China and Russia prioritize their ties with North Korea to counter US influence. However, this approach could have lasting geopolitical consequences. With North Korea's advancing nuclear program, urgent arms control talks are vital. Short-term fixes like deploying nuclear submarines or missile defenses might help temporarily, but addressing the root issue, which is preventing nuclear proliferation, is the ultimate solution. Balancing immediate interests with long-term security concerns is crucial for China, Russia, and the US. While a Cold War strategy might temporarily stabilize the region, forward-looking collaboration is necessary to tackle the core problem.